Okay, section 7.6, problem number 1. It says let f of x equal cosine x, complete the parts A through E below. First thing is, what is the y-intercept of the graph of f? Simplify your answer. Well, that's the quadrilaterals of the unit circle in case you need those to find something. But if you're looking for the y-intercept of f of x equals 7 cosine x, the y-intercept happens when x is equal to 0. So the cosine of 0 is 1. Because if you're right here, it would be x over r. X is 1, and the radius of that unit circle right there is 1. So that is kind of what you would be using right there. And then it says for what numbers x between negative pi, positive pi, is the graph increasing? Well, here is the graph of it. This is a graph taken from Desmos. And where is the graph increasing between negative pi and positive pi? This is the piece that it's increasing right here. So it starts increasing when x is negative pi and continues to increase until x is 0. So it's increasing on the interval from negative pi to 0. This just needs to be a less than. Okay, and then it says, what is the absolute minimum of f? Well, this graph just keeps repeating, but this is the lowest location. It'll hit this location every period that it goes through, and the absolute minimum is -7. That is the absolute minimum, where the absolute maximum would actually be +7. So the minimum is -7. And then it says for what numbers between -2 pi and +2 pi does f of x equal 7? Okay, from -2 pi to +2 pi, inclusive, because those are less than or equal to. So it equals 7 at -2 pi, it equals 7 again at 0, and it's 7 again at 2 pi. So there are 3 answers right there. Okay? Now, what is it asking us? E says, what are the x-intercepts of f? In other words, where does it cross the x-axis? Right here you can see it, right here you can see it, right here you can see it, right here you can see it. So look at your choices that you actually have and just kind of see what's going on. Each of these have a half involved, but they're not two halves. This is like an odd half, 3 halves, 1 half, +1 half, +3 halves. So that kind of says something in itself. But since you see a 2 on the bottom, kind of shoot for these two. Let's plug in a 0 here, and that gives you a -1 half. If you plug in 1, that gives you 0. It does not cross at 0, so this one doesn't work. We need to go right here. Let's plug in 0, and we get a -1 half. When we plug in 1, we get 1 half. If we plug in 2, we get 3 halves. If we plug in -1, we get -3 halves. So it looks like B is actually doing what we need to do. So those were our zeros, and when we chose to use this formula right here, you plug in -1, 0, 1. They will give you some of these answers. The -1 gives you -3 halves. 0 would give you the negative 1/2 pi. 1 would give you the positive 1/2. And if you went on and chose 2, you would get the 3/2. So those are the integers that actually produce those answers, but they just keep going on and on and on. Just be sure you've got the correct one.